This is a review of Brave Story New Traveler for the Sony PlayStation Portable. It's a solid turn-based RPG with very nice graphics and a myriad of gameplay features, published by Xseed. You take on the role of a kid who lives in the modern real world that blames himself for his friend becoming critically injured. A mysterious voice beckons you to a fantasy world called Vision, where you're told you can gather these magical stones that will grant you a wish. A pretty basic premise that unfortunately doesn't really expand much until the later segments of the game. However, I will say that the story does become pretty good once it does expand. You just have to persevere through the middle of the game to get there. The combat of Brave Story has unique aspects to it that help it stand out from other games. All of the characters' skills are based on bravura points, or BP. You can basically compare it to MP, if that's easier to understand. The main difference here is that during combat, BP can be restored by attacking the enemy. You're given incentive to use the attack command over Brave skills through a feature called X attacks, X being short for extra. Basically, if you attack enemies that are low on health and kill them, you will have a high probability of performing an additional attack on another enemy. The game also has combo attacks called unities. As the name implies, these are skills used by multiple characters. The interesting thing is that you still get to assign commands for characters already participating in a unity skill. For example, let's say you have your protagonist use his unity skill with Sograth. After choosing it, you can still enter another command for Sograth, allowing you to either do an attack or Brave skill with him, or even doing the Unity skill a second time. Enemies also have feelings, so to speak. Each enemy has a trigger that will cause them to become crazed. They will grow in size, sometimes to massive proportions, and become significantly stronger to the point where they're able to nearly, or in some cases successfully, one-shot you. Killing a crazed monster nets you much more experience and better chances of loot. Their triggers can be anything from killing one of their friends or inflicting some sort of status ailment on them. Every enemy is different. Perhaps one of the most curious elements of the game's combat system is the enemy variation. You can get into a battle with 3 of the exact same enemy, only they won't be the same. One may be larger and thus stronger, or may have slightly different coloring than the others, and they will all have very slightly different stats. It's a very interesting system that doesn't really serve much purpose, but I kind of liked it and wish more games would take an approach similar to it. The game features a pretty basic crafting system that allows you to make accessories from diagrams that you obtain during your travels. You cannot, however, make armor or weapons. There is also a side quest system that becomes available at about the midway point in the game, where you get a book that tracks them. There are quite a few, and there are no clues as to where you pick the quests up. You just have to talk to everyone you come across multiple times. I suggest doing this after you get the ability to fly around the world. The protagonist's weapon is also a little interesting. Unlike all the other party members in the game, the protagonist never gets new weapons. Instead, as you progress through the story, each gem you collect upgrades your weapon, and in some cases you can even choose the gem yourself. For example, during my game, I chose a thunder gem instead of a fire, wind, and one of the others. This turned my sword a purple color and made its attack deal lightning damage. There is one feature that just feels out of place and will make you think what the fuck when you come across it, and that is bird brawls. At a certain point near the beginning of the game, you're given a net, and during your travels you'll come across these tiny little forests that kind of remind me of Chocobo forests from the Final Fantasy series. Inside these forests, when a random battle starts, you'll find yourself surrounded by tons of little chickens. You can throw out feed to increase their size and stats, and the goal is to then capture as many of them as possible before the time runs out. At the end of the minigame, the birds will fuse into one bird that gets put into your bird cage. Once you fill your cage up, you can then battle your birds cockfighting style against various NPCs. You can also trade birds in for items, although the items aren't really that great. I didn't care too much for this gameplay system as it really felt very out of place and just isn't all that much fun. I logged roughly 28 hours into the game, and it should be noted that the game allows you to save cleared data and then load it back up and continue questing in the world of Vision. Unfortunately, 2 sequels were made, one for the PSP and one for the PlayStation 2 that sadly were never released in the United States. I found the game to be a fun, if quick adventure that only suffers a little bit in the middle. If you have the time and means, I would suggest you give it a shot.
So it's true, this thing's what did in those men.
About time. Now I can blow you losers away. The overgrown lizard included. What a stupid fool.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please click those little buttons labeled like and subscribe.